I'm back. Did you miss me? Let me tell you something real quick. See, most project managers, they think the solution to a restrictive environment is to work harder. Trust me, I know because I actually did it for years. But here's the truth. You can't outwork a system that wasn't designed for you to lead in the first place. I still remember the silence in that hallway that day. No long explanation, no feedback session. It was just like a list, where my name was on it. Oh, the list I'm talking about, it was my freshman basketball team roster. See, I went home frustrated, embarrassed, not only due to not making the basketball team, but if I'm honest between you and I, a lot of my close friends made the team and I wouldn't be there to support them and just to be in that atmosphere. But that night, that embarrassment, it turned into a decision. When Christmas rolled around, I didn't ask for clothes or games. I asked my mom and dad for a all-in-one workout machine. Don't judge me, but I turned my basement into a laboratory. For the following months, that's where I lived. And when summer came around, I took it to the court from sunrise to sunset. I went home only to eat. You got to eat. But then I went right back out. No announcements, no sympathy, just hard work, dedication, and focus. Because of that obsession, the next year, hey, congratulations to me. I did make the team. But years later, in corporate America, I realized I was standing in that same hallway again. The list, yeah, it was still there. It was just dressed in a suit. I'll walk into meetings ready to lead end to end. Instead, decisions were already made. Ownership was sliced into pieces. I was expected to execute on plans I didn't even fully own, and then be judged on the outcomes I didn't really control. So I did what I knew. I worked harder. I stayed later. I refined the plans I was never really allowed to fully run. I tried to outwork the system. At one point, my manager had to sit me down and say, I appreciate what you're doing, but you might want to look at taking some vacation. Because see, he knew how passionate I am in management, especially about executing and getting things done. But that's when it hit me. I wasn't tired from the work. I was tired from shrinking how I led. No matter how capable I was, the full game was never mine to play. And that's when I realized something that changed how I work, lead, and my identity. Principle number one, proving you belong is the fastest way to forget who you are. Ooh, I like that, family. See, when you walk into an environment trying to prove you belong, something kind of subtle happens. You start adjusting your tone. You start softening your instincts. So you trade clarity for approval, not because you're weak, but because you are thinking, you're trying to please everybody. See, you believe that if you work harder, deliver more, stay agreeable long enough, the system will eventually see you. Let me tell you something, family, right quick. Just a quick caveat. This is what I was just thinking at the time. This is me. This is something I've experienced, not once, not twice, multiple times. But see, here's the problem. The more energy you spend proving you belong, the less energy you spend leading the way you know how. Over time, that gap creates confusion, not in the system, but in you. Don't forget your skills. Don't forget why you came here. Don't forget your standards. Why is this even important? The principle matters here because proving yourself is a silent identity tax. It doesn't show up on your calendar, but it drains you anyway. When you're focused on belonging, you accept partial ownership. You over-prepare for decisions you have no control over. You over-explain instead of being direct. You work harder without gaining authority. Do you know the worst part of all of this, family? The system benefits from this. See, you become reliable, compliant, and you get exhausted, burnt out, while still feeling unseen. That's how capable professionals slowly lose their edge. Experiment with these actionable tips. Stop over-explaining for 1 week. For the next 7 days, notice how often you justify your decisions before anyone asks. Instead of explaining, try this. State the recommendation, state the reason, and then be quiet. Or, as my grandma would say, just stop talking, son. But watch what happens. So you'll notice that confidence doesn't come from more words. It comes from a clear and clean direction. Next one. Reclaim one non-negotiable leadership behavior. What does that look like? So pick one behavior that represents how you actually lead, not on how an environment conditions you to behave. Here's some examples. Setting the agenda instead of reacting to it, documenting decisions immediately, calling out risk early instead of absorbing them quietly. Let me explain this to you real quick, just another caveat. When you practice this behavior consistently, regardless of how it's received, that's how identity is stabilized under pressure. Here's my professional advice. If you ever felt like you're constantly auditioning, that's information. It is not failure. Strong leaders don't beg systems for permission. They observe, they adapt, and then build leverage. Sometimes the smarter move isn't to push harder, it's to stop shrinking. See, belonging is not something you earn through exhaustion. It is something you preserve by staying aligned with who you are. And once you stop proving you belong, something else becomes painfully clear. See, some environments don't resist you because you lack skills. See, they resist you because your gift doesn't fit the culture built for compliance. Principle number 2, your gift will suffocate environments built for compliance. Some environments are not designed for leadership. They are designed for predictability. The value, control over creativity, process over judgment, permission over initiation. Oh, I like this. See, in some environments, compliance is mistaken for competence. If your gift is clarity, direction, or end-to-end thinking, you will feel a constant resistance, not because you're disruptive, not because you want to do it your way. It is because you're making everyone else feel uncomfortable. So the system narrows you, it limits scope, it fragments ownership, it rewards those who stay inside the lines. Your gifts and abilities doesn't appear in these environments, it suffocates. Why is this important? The principle matters because many high performers internalize this wrong lesson. They assume, I need to be more patient. Maybe I need to earn more trust. Or, you know what? It's me. I need to adapt my style. But the truth is simpler and much harder to accept. You can be capable, you can be collaborative, you can be committed, and still be incompatible with a compliance-driven culture. If you don't name that reality, you will or I should say continue to overcompensate. You will shrink as a leader so you can fit in. You will question yourself instead of the system you're in. That's how talented professionals burn out quietly while thinking they're the problem. Experiment with these 2 actionable tips. Identify what the system actually rewards. For 1 week, stop paying attention to what leadership says it values. Instead, observe who gets promoted, who gets autonomy, who gets praised, who's getting protected. Ask yourself one question. Is leadership rewarded here or is it compliance? This removes confusion. Clarity reduces doubt. And the next one, stop offering leadership where it is not wanted. This is a hard one for me, family, because, for somebody that's built their career on leadership, that's built their career on communication, this is one of the counterintuitive positions that I have to take from time to time. See, if an environment consistently resists your initiative, stop pushing leadership into that space. Instead, execute cleanly within your lane. Document decisions, preserve energy, build your leadership muscles elsewhere. Leadership forced into the wrong system doesn't transform the system. It actually drains the leader. Ooh, I like that, fam. Here's my professional advice, fam. Not every room deserves your full reign. That doesn't make the room bad, and it doesn't make you arrogant. What I want to advise you, the fastest way to regain it is to place your gift where it expands instead of contracts. Ooh, this is getting good, family. Once you recognize the compliance-driven system restrict leadership, another truth becomes unavoidable. You can't assess a leader's ability without seeing how they operate from end to end. And that's what takes us into principle number 3. Principle number 3, end-to-end ownership reveals leadership. Partial ownership hides it. Ooh. See, leadership is not revealed in fragments. You cannot evaluate someone's ability to lead when their responsibility is sliced into pieces. Their authority is diluted. Their outcomes are dependent on decisions that they have no control over. See, partial ownership creates a false picture. See, when a project manager is responsible for execution, but not strategy, delivery, but not decisions, outcomes, but not authority, you're not seeing leadership. You are seeing containment. And end-to-end ownership exposes how someone thinks, prioritizes, communicates, and most of all, adapts under pressure. Without it, leadership remains invincible. Why is this important? See, this principle matters the most is because partial ownership quietly sabotages capable professionals. It creates situations where you're accountable but not empowered. You're measured on results without influence. You're expected to manage outcomes you don't control. See, over time, I don't care who you are. You could be the greatest of the great. Your confidence will erode. See, not because your ability declines, but because your performance is being evaluated on a distorted system. And here's the danger. When leadership can't be seen, it gets misinterpreted as passivity, lack of initiative, lack of strategic thinking. In reality, the system never allowed leadership to actually boil to the surface. So experiment with these actionable tips. Ask for ownership and outcomes, not tasks. So instead of asking for more tasks, try asking one clean question. What outcomes am I fully accountable for end to end? See, what this does, family, it shifts the conversation from activity to ownership. See, if the answer is vague, fragmented, or even conditional, that's valuable information for you. See, it tells you exactly how visible leadership is allowed to be. Next one, document where ownership breaks. For one project, map where decisions stop being yours, where approvals are required, where scope is dictated, where accountability remains with you, but authority doesn't. This isn't for a blame. This is more like a awareness check. See, once you see the breaking points, you'll stop personalizing limitations that were structurally all along. Here's my professional advice. You can't judge your leadership ability inside a system that refuses to let you lead fully. That doesn't mean you demand control. No. That's not what we do. It means you understand the difference between managing tasks and owning outcomes. See, true leaders are revealed when they are trusted with the whole game, not just certain plays. So if you've never been given the full fill, stop questioning your capability and start questioning the design. And this leads you directly into the next realization. Being capable, prepared, and experienced does not guarantee you'll be allowed to execute. Principle number 4, being capable does not mean the system will let you execute again. I'm going to say that again. Being capable does not mean the system will let you execute. See, capability and permission are not the same thing. You can be prepared. You can even be experienced. And still, you may not be allowed to lead properly. See, most people assume that once you demonstrate competency, the system naturally gets out your way. See, many systems are not designed to reward capability. They are designed to preserve control. So even when you show up ready, decisions are delayed, authority is rerouted, ownership is conditional, not because you fail, but because full execution threatens existing structure. This is where capable professionals get confused. See, they keep refining their skill. They keep adding credentials. They increase effort, assuming that execution will eventually be unlocked. But that lock has or will never be unlocked for you. Why does this principle matter? See, this principle matters because misunderstanding, it leads to self-blame. When execution is blocked, people think, I must need more experience. Oh, you don't like that one? How about this one? I need to prove myself longer. Oh, okay, my favorite one. I need to wait my turn. See, they work harder inside a system that never intended release control in the first place. Over time, this creates frustration without language, effort without leverage, growth without visibility, and most of all, the most dangerous outcome of them all is talented professionals, exceptional professionals begin questioning themselves instead of the environment that they're in. Experiment with these actionable tips. Separate skill development from permission seeking. So for the next project, family, notice where your upgrading skills will earn the execution right. For instance, like ask yourself this: is this skill improving my capability or am I using it to negotiate permission? See, skill building is valuable. Permission chasing disguised as growth is definitely not. So once you separate the two, your development becomes intentional again. Watch how execution is actually granted. Pay attention to how authority moves within your organization. Is execution granted based on tenure or proximity or trust or control. Just kind of pay attention to what's going on around you. Rarely it is granted purely on competency. This awareness stops you from waiting for a merit-based moment that may never arrive. Here's my professional advice. Competence does not automatically dismantle control structures. That's not a personal failure. The mistake is assuming the ability alone unlocks execution. Strong leaders learn to read systems, not just improve skills. They don't waste years waiting for permission that isn't part of the design. They either negotiate ownership clearly or adjust expectations strategically, or they build leverage elsewhere. That's not arrogance, family. This is pure wisdom. And once you understand that execution can be blocked, even when you're capable, another uncomfortable truth surfaces. Sometimes you're not even overlooked because you lack talent. You're overlooked because your presence disrupts comfort. Principle number 5, being overlooked doesn't mean you lack talent. It often means you might threaten comfortability, as they would say. See, not every system overlooks people because they're unqualified. Some systems overlook people because they change the temperature in the room. For all my temperature changers out there, I'd love to hear from you. See, if you ask better questions, you move faster, you see around corners, or you naturally think end to end, you introduce discomfort. Even when your intentions are good, comfort-driven systems prefer predictable behavior, familiar patterns, known outcome. But leadership, it introduces uncertainty. And uncertainty makes people who rely on control uneasy. So instead of engaging with your capability, the system quietly contains it. You're not rejected. You're just managed around. Why is this important? See, this principle here, it really challenges the professional because a lot of times a professional is just misread wrong. See, they think I must not be ready yet, or maybe I'm missing something, or I just need to wait longer. So they dim themselves, they slow down, they stop asking questions. And over time, they internalize this lie that they created. If I were really that good, I'll be recognized. Recognition is not purely merit-based. It is comfort-driven environments. It's alignment-based. And when your presence highlights inefficiencies, gaps, or risks, it threatens stability, even if it improves the outcome. Experiment with these actual tips. Notice who is protected, not who performs. For 1 week, observe very closely, carefully, of course. Who gets shielded when things go wrong? Who maintains influence when results slip? Who is giving the benefit of the doubt? See, this reveals what the system truly values: comfort, continuity, and most of all, familiarity, more than actual performance or execution. So once you see that, you stop personalizing the silence. Next one, stop self-minimizing to preserve harmony. Pay attention to moments when you hold back in spite of, or I should say, because you want to avoid attention, or delay raising risk so you can keep the peace. Simplify your thinking so you could just fit in the role. Experiment with this. Calmly state one clear observation anyway, not aggressively, but clearly. And notice how the room responds. And the next one, the response tells you everything. Here's my professional advice, family. If your presence makes things clearer, faster, or even more accountable, you will not always be welcome. I want to let you know. And that comfort is something many systems protect at all costs. So strong leaders don't chase validation from comfort-driven environments. They stay grounded in truth, in execution, and most of all, clarity. And they choose where to invest their full range. When you realize that being overlooked isn't always about ability, another decision becomes critical. Do you keep pushing for recognition, or do you silence as an act of self-respect? Principle number 6, silence is sometimes self-respect, not quitting. See, silence often is misunderstood. In corporate environments, silence is usually labeled as disengagement, weakness, or loss of ambition. But that's not always what's happening. See, sometimes silence is not surrender. It's a conscious decision to stop performing for a system that has already shown you its limit. Or as that Maya Angelou quote is, when someone shows you, and I'm remixing as you can tell, it's when someone shows you who they are, believe them. And so I say all that to say, when you realize that your effort isn't changing outcome, that your voice is filtered before it's even heard, and the execution is capped no matter how prepared you are, continuing to push can actually become self-betrayal. So silence In those moments, it's not giving up. It's choosing not to waste energy where it is no longer produces leverage. Why is this important? This principle matters because high performers often punish themselves for pulling back. Let me just park here parenthetically, family. I've done this many of times where I punish myself thinking maybe I'm not hungry enough anymore for this thing that I love that I hope you fall in love with called project management. Maybe I'm losing my edge. Maybe I should be louder or more visible or more aggressive. But silence can be strategic. It can be the moment you stop arguing with reality. Instead of constantly explaining, defending, or reproving yourself, silence allows you to regain clarity, prove dignity, and reinvest energy where it compounds. Without this understanding, people confuse burnout with laziness and restraint with failure. Experiment with these actionable tips. Stop explaining what has already been ignored for 1 week. Notice how often you restate ideas that have already been dismissed or diluted. So instead of repeating yourself, document it once, state your position clearly, and let the response speak for itself. If the system truly values the input, it will come back to it. If it doesn't, you've just saved yourself unnecessary emotional labor. Next one. Redirect one source of frustration into ownership. Pick one area you feel unheard, whether that is pushing harder in that space around having full control over writing or speaking, building, teaching, or creating clarity for others. Notice how quickly motivation returns when effort leads to ownership. That's not a coincidence, family. That is true alignment. Here's my professional advice. Silence does not mean you're shrinking. It means you stop negotiating your worth in rooms that obviously can't recognize it. Strong leaders know when to speak and when to preserve their voice for environments that amplify it. Walking quietly is not quitting, or is that new terminology of quiet quitting. This is not that. It is basically about repositioning. And once you stop mistaking silence for failure, another truth becomes impossible to ignore. You don't need permission to build authority. Principle number 7, you don't need permission to build authority. See, authority does not begin with approval. It begins with ownership. Most people wait to be chosen before they're led. They wait for the title or the nod or the invitation. But real authority is built long before it's recognized. It's built when you say, you know what? I'm going to clarify problems others avoid. You know what? I'm going to speak with consistency. It's not about the volume. I'm going to share insights without asking if it's okay. Execute where you actually have control. Authority is not unassigned. It is accumulated. And the mistake capable professionals make is assuming that authority must be granted by the same system that sometimes restricts them. And it doesn't. Why is this important? The principle matters because waiting for permission keeps you trapped in a reactive mode. When you rely on permission, your voice says conditionally, your leadership stays fragmented, your confidence becomes one of those 50-50 or situational. So you begin tying your sense of legitimacy to people who benefit from keeping things the way they are. Building authority independently, you know what that does? It breaks the loop. It shifts your posture from, will they let me, to this is what I know, this is how I operate, and that shift changes everything. Experiment with these actual tips. Create one piece of public clarity. Choose one topic you understand deeply. It could be pattern you seeing repeatedly, or a mistake people keep making, a framework you've refined through experience. Share it publicly, write it, record it, teach it, not to impress, but to impress upon individuals or for yourself to clarify that you can do this. So authority grows when people recognize themselves in clarity. Next one, lead where you don't need approval. Identify one area of your work or life where no one needs to sign off. That could be how you structure your thinking, how you document your decision, how you teach others, how you actually communicate the risk. Lead there fully. You'll realize quickly that authority expands faster where permission is irrelevant. Here's my professional advice, family. Waiting to be validated keeps you dependent. Building authority keeps you free. See, the goal isn't trying to be rebellious. The goal isn't about being defiant. The goal is independence of identity. When your authority is rooted in execution and clarity, systems either adapt or they become optional. And once you stop waiting for permission to lead, one final distinction becomes critical. You can respect the job without letting it define who you are. Principle number 8, you can respect the job without letting it define your identity. I like that, family. See, a job is a role. Identity is who you are when no one else is evaluating. When those two get confused, work starts carrying weight like it was never meant to hold. You begin measuring your worth by titles, performance reviews, access to decision makers, how visible or invisible you feel. And that's a dangerous equation. Respecting a job means showing up prepared, being professional and accountable. Letting it define you means handing over your self-concept to a system that was never designed to carry it. Those are not the same thing. Why is this important? See, this principle matters, family, because identity attachment makes everything heavier. When your work defines you, criticism feels personal. Silence feels like rejection. Limitations feel like judgment. You start overworking, not to deliver outcomes or results, but to protect your sense of self. And no role, no matter how prestigious, should have that much power over you. Separating identity from employment restores clarity, confidence, and emotional balance. It allows you to engage fully without being consumed. Experiment with these actionable tips. Redefine your scoreboard. Write down 3 metrics that define success for you that have nothing to do with your job title. Here's some example. Did I speak clearly today? Did I act in alignment with my values? Did I build or create something that will outlast me today? And use these as your internal scoreboard when identity stabilizes internally and external pressures loses its grip. Next one, practice professional detachment. This doesn't mean disengagement. It means responding to work situation with clarity instead of emotion. The next time something doesn't go your way, pause, name the role, and then separate it from your work. Separating it allows you to be able to look at it at a more holistic approach where you're not blending the emotion of what someone told you you need to do versus feeling like, why is someone coming down on me like this? You need to separate your work. And if you feel overlooked, constrained, or even quietly frustrated, this isn't a call to quit. It's a call to reclaim your alignment. You don't need to prove you belong. You need permission to lead. You don't need a title to know who you are. The work continues just on your terms. Here's the truth, fam. I want you to understand this clear. You are not broken. You are not lazy. You are not behind, especially if you're listening to today's episode. You may simply be operating inside a system that was never designed to let you lead the way you're capable of leading. This is not about quitting your job. Now, I want to be crystal clear. It's about reclaiming alignment, clarity, identity, so your work stops costing you more than it's giving it back. But you don't need permission to build authority. You don't need to prove you belong. You don't need a title to know who you are. So I challenge you today, family. Keep building, keep speaking, keep executing, even when it feels quiet, because the right people don't need convincing. They recognize the truth when they hear it. This message resonated with you. Share with a person who's talented, frustrated, and quietly questioning themselves. They may need this reminder more than they ever said it out loud. If you're looking for mentoring and coaching, check the link in the episode. Let's you and I get to work. And if you're new to the episode, I go by the name of ED. For all you smart and intelligent folks out there, that simply means Ed. P.S. I'm back. Now we're about to really get to work. Let's go.